Once again, hello. Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Crystal McCoy. I am the Public Information Officer for the ATF Denver Field Division. We are here to discuss a significant milestone in a complex transnational narcotics and firearms trafficking investigation. While we are at the indictment phase, please understand this case is still very much ongoing and evolving. So the information you're receiving today, much like the indictments that you received already, is still somewhat fluid. It's important to remember everyone indicted is presumed innocent until proven guilty. We have a distinguished group of speakers here today that you see to my right. Not all of them will be speaking today, but they may be available for questions. To begin the press conference, we'll start with United States Attorney Peter McNeely, ATF Special Agent in Charge Brent Beavers, DEA Special Agent in Charge David Oleski, Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office Sheriff Tyler Brown, Deputy Director Joint Task Force Vulcan Jeremy Franker, and in the back with us today is HSI Special Agent in Charge Steve Kagan, ICE ERO Field Office Director Robert Guadian, Aurora Police Department Chief of Police Todd Chamberlain, and City of Aurora Attorney Peter Schulte. Following remarks, we will open the floor to questions. We ask that you keep your questions focused on the investigation here today. And if you have any other needs before we begin, please let me know now. Otherwise, I'll turn the podium over to Mr. McNeely.
I am proud to stand beside the ATF, the DEA, the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, Joint Task Force Vulcan, Aurora Police Department, Homeland Security Investigations, ICE, and the City Attorney for the City of Aurora to announce charges against 30 defendants for drug trafficking, firearms trafficking, and murder for hire. These defendants include Tren de Aragua leaders, members, and associates. The charges include firearms trafficking, drug trafficking, and a barbaric murder for hire plot in which several of the defendants agreed to kill 2 people for $15,000 and return their severed heads as proof of the murders for just an extra $5,000. About 10 months ago, the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office asked for the ATF's help in responding to a spike in violent crime that was stemming from a particular apartment complex in their community. The ATF responded immediately and began a complex investigation which included extensive undercover operations and served to identify some of the people who were responsible for the increase in crime. As the investigation grew, so did the team that was committed to conducting it. The ATF invited the U.S. Attorney's Office, Homeland Security Investigations, and Drug Enforcement Administration to join them in this case. All throughout it, we were supported with valuable support from the Aurora Police Department and the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. The charges tell a story of people selling guns and drugs, lots of them. The affidavits which have been filed in this case also tell a story of a murder for hire plot and other crimes that the defendants were willing to commit, such as sex trafficking. One of the people who offered to commit murders in this case bragged to the undercover officers that the people he would use to commit those murders were the very same people that we had seen committing crimes on the news in these apartment complexes in Aurora. There was a time not too long ago when many people didn't want to believe in TDA. But I'll tell you, this team believes in it. This team knows it is real, and it knows it poses a real danger to Colorado. TDA is a brutal transnational criminal organization and a recently designated foreign terrorist organization, which originated in Venezuela and has carried out kidnappings, extortion, and has green-lighted for its members to kill and injure U.S. law enforcement officers. TDA has brought its terrorism to the United States. TDA is real, it is dangerous, and we have made prosecuting TDA a priority in the District of Colorado. We are proud to share what this team has accomplished. These 30 defendants, these 69 firearms over here, and the pounds of narcotics that were taken off the street during the course of this investigation no longer pose a threat to the United States or to the people of Colorado. I have a message specifically for TDA. We will not let you use Colorado as your headquarters in the United States. If you bring your dangerous crimes to Colorado, We will hunt you down and we will bring you to justice. And we will go anywhere in the world in pursuit of you. We are committed to the total elimination of TDA. I also have a message specifically for the great people of the great state of Colorado. The men and women of these agencies have made Colorado a safer place to live. They are doing things every day on your behalf, along with the faithful public servants at the United States Attorney's Office, to make Colorado a better place to live, work, and grow. This case is a great example of what we do, but it is just one example of what we do every single day. I'd now like to turn the microphone over to Brent Beavers, the special agent in charge of the ATF here in Denver.
Good morning. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, I'm Brent Beavers, ATF Special Agent in Charge for the Denver Field Division. The investigation we are presenting to you today exemplifies the power of collaboration, uniting federal and local partners to achieve significant impact in our communities across the nation and internationally. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, in October 2024, the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office noticed a spike in violent crime at the Ivy Crossing apartment complex. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office requested ATF assistance to address this spike. What began as a local violent crime case quickly evolved into a complex transnational armed drug and firearms trafficking investigation with links to major cities like Chicago, Kansas City, and Miami, ultimately leading agents to 2 international arrests in Colombia. Early in the investigation, ATF undercover agents met individuals from Venezuela, some of which were members and associates of the Venezuelan street gang Tren de Aragua, TDA. ATF undercover agents, with support of the Denver Homeland Security Task Force, conducted approximately 40 extremely high-risk undercover operations. During these operations, ATF undercover agents purchased firearms and narcotics. While there's many heroes in this investigation, I can't overstate the work of the ATF undercover agents. While you're out at the gym, kids' soccer, or dinner, these individual agents could be out behind the scenes, making our communities safer. During this investigation, the ATF undercover agents met individuals that compared murder to playing games, such as golf. These same individuals described to our undercover agents that not only would they commit murder, but they would bring heads of their victims back for additional compensation. Based on these undercover contacts, our ATF special response team, again with the support of the Denver Homeland Security Task Force, conducted several high-risk operations and multiple search and arrest warrants. The 69 firearms purchased or recovered during these operations are displayed here today, some of which are privately made firearms and at least one equipped with a machine gun conversion device. 27 of the firearms are linked by ATF knobbing technology, telling the part of a story to 67 separate shooting events in Colorado and across the country. By removing these firearms from the street, we've disrupted a dangerous cycle of violence, preventing further harm to our communities and sending a clear message to criminal networks. We are here and together at a local and federal level, and we will bring you to justice. In addition to the Firearms Drug Enforcement Administration Special Agent in Charge, David Oleski, will talk to you about the drug trafficking involved in this case, to include the seizure of multi-kilogram amounts of TUSI. You'll also hear from Sheriff Tyler Brown about the impact of this investigation as a result of the collaborative effort. This case proves that partnerships between federal, state, local, and international law enforcement are critical into dismantling sophisticated criminal enterprises. We must continue to strengthen these alliances to keep our communities safe, and I'm so thankful for the partnership that you see here today. In closing, this announcement should send a clear message to those engaged in organized gang crime in our communities that law enforcement in Denver is unified, and we will leverage all resources available to dismantle gangs that cause violent crime here. Now I'll turn this over to Special Agent in Charge David Oleski. Thank you.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney McNeely and Special Agent in Charge Beavers. Good morning. My name is David Oleski, and I am the Special Agent in Charge of DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division. Today, we get to lift the veil on a public safety issue which a year ago at this time was taboo to discuss in some circles, TDA. This morning, we get to share the results of the great collaboration and effort across federal and local law enforcement to target the Tren de Aragua threat in our region. 1 year ago, in August 2024, after our agents seized more than 12 kilograms of fentanyl linked to TDA, which was destined for Aurora, our DEA Rocky Mountain Field Division put out a statement affirming TDA's presence here in the state. That quantity alone could have killed more than 900,000 Americans. Fentanyl continues to be the #1 drug threat facing our nation and DEA's top priority. While that seizure was key to affirming TDA's presence and role in drug trafficking here in the region, it also now serves as a marker. It was a starting point for DEA to enter the fight. With Tren de Aragua engaged in the trafficking of fentanyl and other deadly drugs, they put themselves into the same category as the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco cartel. As Zach Beavers mentioned, ATF was asked by the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office to assist in addressing the spike in violent crime associated with the Ivy Crossing apartment complex. Due to the great partnership between our agencies and the strength of the relationships among our frontline agents, DEA joined in, and together we set off on a path to target TDA. Over the course of the past year, there have been a number of significant enforcement actions taken against TDA, which have captured the attention of local and national media, the community, and of course, those of us in law enforcement. From the makeshift nightclub raid in Adams County back in January, to the apartment complex operations at Cedar Run and Ivy Crossing earlier this year, our agencies have utilized every resource available to address the Tren de Aragua threat and the harm this foreign terrorist organization has caused our community. The assortment of investigative techniques utilized throughout the course of this operation is impressive. From the outstanding undercover work by ATF locally to the international collaboration abroad in Colombia, our DEA agents worked hand in hand with each of these agencies to achieve the results detailed. I could not be more proud of not just our DEA personnel, but all of the frontline investigators across the agencies who work together as one unit, not seeking any individual glory or recognition, but simply and more honorably seeking the goal of making our community safer and holding those accountable who have caused such great harm. For months, these investigators put themselves in harm's way to target this very dangerous and violent criminal organization. The quantity of firearms you see before you seized throughout the course of this operation is staggering. The number of potential lives saved and victims of crime avoided as a result of this operation are countless. In addition to the firearms, this operation cumulatively seized multi-kilogram quantities of 2C, otherwise known as pink cocaine, as well as quantities of fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine. I would also like to recognize the work of our DEA Bogota Colombia Country Office and the outstanding work of the Colombian National Police, specifically the Gaula Elite Unit, which were responsible for apprehending 2 of the leaders of this organization in Medellin, Colombia, just a few short weeks ago. One of DEA's strengths is our ability to target the drug cartels and foreign terrorist organizations wherever they operate around the globe. This is in large part due to the strength of our international partnerships. The Colombian National Police and DEA have forged strong bonds over the decades through blood, sweat, and tears, and we are grateful for their support in this operation to make both of our countries safer. Looking back at the past year, has TDA's influence and capabilities in the region been diminished as a result of these efforts? I'd say it has. Is this community safer today from the threat of TDA than we were a year ago? I'd say it is. Is there more work to be done? Absolutely. But the public can be assured that DEA will continue to be relentless in pursuit of members and associates of this organization with the ultimate goal of making our community safer and holding those accountable who cause it harm. I want to thank the leadership across all the agencies involved. It's an honor to be here today alongside each of you sharing and telling this story. Thank you. And now please allow me to introduce from the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Tyler Brown.
Good morning, Tyler Brown, Sheriff of Arapahoe County. I first want to start by looking at each one of these 69 guns and thinking about the pounds of narcotics that were taken off of our streets. Each one of those guns represents the saving of a life. Each ounce of narcotics that is taken off the street represents a life saved. And it is through the partnership that I want to express our sincerest gratitude to the Department of Justice, ATF, DEA, HSI, all of our federal partners and local partners for their unwavering partnership in this effort. Your dedication, expertise, and commitment have been invaluable in our shared mission to keep our communities safe. In particular, I want to acknowledge the tremendous effort and focus placed on addressing crime and restoring safety in the Ivy Crossing neighborhood. It is through the ingenuity of deputies and agents that this case was able to be brought forward for these indictments. Together, we have seen an impact of what true collaboration can bring, not only through enforcement, but through the building of trust and assurance to the residents that their safety matters. This community has seen a 75% reduction in calls for service between January and August in 2025 compared to 2023 and 2024. A 75% reduction in call for service. That is life-changing for the people in this community. Our federal partners stood shoulder to shoulder with our deputies, bringing resources, specialized skills, and determination that have made a real difference. This work has not only targeted those who bring harm to our neighborhoods, but has also strengthened the foundation for a safer and more hopeful future for the families in Ivy Crossing. Public safety is not accomplished by one office, one agency, or one department alone. It is the result of a shared commitment, a collective promise to protect and serve every corner of our community. And in this partnership, we have seen this promise fulfilled. On behalf of the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, I want to thank you once again for your continued dedication and collaboration. Together, we are proving that when local and federal agencies unite, we can create lasting change for safer communities for everyone. I would like to introduce Deputy Director of Joint Task Force Vulcan, Jeremy Franker.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Jeremy Franker, and I'm the Deputy Director of Joint Task Force Vulcan. Joint Task Force Vulcan was first originated in 2019 by Attorney General Barr to go after the command and control structure of MS-13, both nationally and internationally. The structure of the task force is we partner with U.S. attorneys' offices across the country and the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., specifically with the Criminal Division and the National Security Division. The task force has had a lot of success in charging the leadership of MS-13 over the course of the last several years. Specifically, 2 of the individuals that are on the FBI's 10 most wanted list are cases that were brought in partnership with Joint Task Force Vulcan. Attorney General Bondi, one of her first memos that went out when she became Attorney General in February was to expand the task force to not only include MS-13, but also to go after the command and control structure of TDA and cartels that those 2 organizations associate with. In the last 6 months, we've partnered with U.S. attorneys' offices across the country, and we've had a lot of success in prosecuting TDA cases, including bringing the first racketeering charges against TDA in the Southern District of New York, the first terrorism charges against TDA in the Southern District of Texas, and the biggest TDA investigation in the country, right here in the District of Colorado. This case touches cases all over the country. Our task force is charged with coordinating prosecutions and investigations that touch on every part of the country, nationally and internationally. And a majority of those cases touch in some way on TDA membership that's from Colorado. You've heard this morning about the apartment complex in Aurora that has been on the news media. That apartment complex we've heard across the country from TDA leaders and other people as part of the investigation that they refer to that as Mini Tokaron. If anybody here has any knowledge about the history of TDA, that's where the gang started. That's the prison in Venezuela that the gang first initiated in. And the members are referring to the hub here in Colorado. Well, not anymore. Not because of the leadership team that you see here today. They have done a phenomenal job in investigating this case and bringing these charges. You've heard from ATF You've heard from DEA. You've heard from the Arapahoe County Sheriff. I'd also like to reference HSI, who's here as well. These investigators have worked diligently to bring this investigation, and Joint Task Force Vulcan wants to especially thank the United States Attorney's Office here in the District of Colorado, specifically U.S. Attorney McNeely and the AUSAs that have worked tirelessly on this investigation over the last several months. This is not just an important case for Colorado. This is an important case for the whole country. Thank you so much. I'll turn it over to U.S. Attorney McNeely for questions at this time. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
How many members of the people who are indicted, how many are they TDA?
So the best estimate I'll give, and I would reference everyone back to the case materials in the case. 3 leaders have been charged here, 2 who've been arrested in Colombia, and then 1 in the 28-person indictment is probably the safest count of actual leaders in Tren de Aragua. We would estimate approximately 5 other members and then numerous associates. On top of that, there's plenty of people who chose to commit crimes with TDA who we would not say are probably formally identified with the gang, but they fell in line with it in order to carry out crimes here in the District of Colorado.
And another follow-up question. I heard you say they referred to one of the properties as the mini Tocaron, like the mini prison. What is that, the Ivy Crossing apartment complex?
Yeah.
What they call it?
Yes.
Edge of Lowry, East Dallas.
Sorry. Would you like to clarify, Chief?
Yeah, absolutely.
Chief Chamberlain from the Aurora PD is going to clarify the answer to that question.
Yeah, again, the one I think he's referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be Dallas Street, the Edge of Lowry, both in Aurora. And I think that's really an important aspect to think about. Again, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the city of Aurora, many people here didn't even know what TDA was, who TDA were, what they were about. That changed drastically. We learned very quickly TDA is incredibly violent. Specifically in Aurora, we learned how violent they are. We learned what their mission was. Their mission was to be like a parasite and basically take over any area that they can control. We also know that TDA, without question in Aurora, specifically the ones that they are talking about here, their mission and their primary goal is to victimize the immigrants that they came here with. And I think that's something that gets forgotten quite a bit. And so when you look at that ground zero in Aurora, the Dallas streets or the Edge of Lowry, I think speaking volumes about what we are here today as a group coming together to impact what we see over here. Because 2 years ago, much of this was unknown. It was still being navigated. It was still being figured out. What happened 2 years ago is never, ever going to happen again in the city of Aurora or any other jurisdiction that any of these partnerships have collaboration over. We will, without question, identify those involved, stop those involved, and eradicate the parasites that they are. The violence that they bring in, the crime they bring in, the impact to a community as a whole and the immigrant community cannot be tolerated. And through collaboration like this is what's making that difference. And again, when I see people that are involved in demonstrations, protesting against ICE, protesting against HSI, protesting against things like this, I ask the questions, who do you really think you're protecting? You are protecting the exact suspects that are involved in activity like this. We are not going to tolerate it. We are working in collaboration and partnership to address it. And we will not allow TDA or any other group that comes in on a failed policy have an impact to this state, to our cities, and to this country.
Why, if I can ask a follow-up question to that, why did TDA pick Aurora or Colorado? It's not on the southern border of the country, it's further inland. And do you guys have any knowledge as to why they would have come here?
I'd like to invite Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge Steve Kagan to answer that question.
As I think we all know, when people migrate here, right, they migrate to places that they know, people that they understand, people that they can communicate with. Throughout multiple investigations that we've had so far, a lot of the information comes out that they followed resources, that they were offered resources in the state of Colorado that they weren't offered elsewhere. But at the same time, once one group came and had a stronghold here, then their friends came. So yes, they were offered resources here that they weren't offered elsewhere, but at the same time, once they got their stronghold in the city of Aurora, then everybody else came to this location.
And was it at that Dallas Street apartment complex, the edge at Lowry, where you guys believe everything began? Was it that the beginning of it?
Out of the information that we have, yes.
How far back was it? Sorry, one more question. How far back before August of 2024 do you think they might have been here?
Let the chief answer that one again.
Yeah, what we saw in Aurora, again, was based on what I think people thought was a good idea at the time, which turned out to be absolutely a failed policy. There was a number of people, we saw approximately 40,000 that got located into the Denver area or the Aurora area. We ended up in Aurora getting a majority of those, and it's exactly like my HSI partner mentioned. They came because it was simple. We have talked to individuals who said, we came here because we've got paid money for lodging. We got a 3-month stipend for support, and we were also given phones. And the biggest part of why they were here and what they said is because we had very limited law enforcement pressure on us. We were able to navigate, to do our things that we wanted to do, to victimize others the way we wanted to victimize without a huge ramification. And so that was really a lot of it. Again, I think when you look at this migration of people that came, a lot of it was based on, from the heart, it seemed like a great idea. But when you set people up in an apartment complex, you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have guidance, you don't have anything for oversight, you see exactly what occurred. You see individuals that came here for the wrong reasons, the wrong intent, doing nothing other than victimizing others, both within the community as well as their own immigrant community. So that's why they were here. Again, there was nonprofits that were involved that gave specific money to furnish apartments. These apartments, again, were not run properly or correctly. They were basically run by slumlords. And again, that allowed for this environment of corruption, this environment of crime to really take hold. And that is the foundation.
Thank you, Chief. Other questions?
I had was you would give them the names.
I'm going to go here and then I'll come right to you.
Thank you. Just two questions. The DHS is contemplating to sentence this criminal and pay jail here, or you're gonna deport it to Venezuela because the people in Venezuela don't want bad people again over there.
The 30 people who have been charged in these two cases will be prosecuted here in the District of Colorado. And as an initial matter, if they are found guilty, they will be sentenced here and sentenced to prison in the United States. That is how our system typically works.
And the final question, what's your message for the community of Venezuelans here in Colorado that not related to TDA, because the majority of these people, I'm included as a Venezuelan, sometimes they are feared to be in the streets because everything is gonna go back to the Venezuelans. What do you say to this community that they are truly working here in the United States?
We are committed to pursuing criminals. We are not simply pursuing people because of the nation in which they were born or where they came to the United States from. Our crosshairs are firmly on Tren de Aragua and anyone else who chooses to commit crimes with Tren de Aragua. Yes.
Some of the names, when you gave the case numbers earlier, and the names we were able to look through the federal system, and they've been part of cases, other cases linked to this since like January, February. So my question is kind of why now? I mean, I'm sure the investigation clearly complex, layered, but why now, and why are we learning today?
This case, like a lot of proactive sort of multi-agency federal investigations, took months and months. Because these people were so dangerous to the community, because they were selling guns and selling dangerous drugs, the agents who were participating in these high-risk operations had to take many of them into custody in waves. It was important to not leave them on the street committing these crimes endlessly. And so that's what's happening, and that's what you can see in the affidavits that support the original charging documents in these cases. You may see, though, that some of the conduct ended back in May. That's specifically when the murder for hire plot was wrapping up and when some initial arrests were made on that. It was important for us to pursue arrest of those who were most responsible for these crimes, and that includes 2 individuals who were recently captured in Medellin, Colombia. There's a process required for us to do that, to cooperate with the government of Colombia and their law enforcement forces. And so that recently occurred, and that gave us the opportunity to now finally tell this story that we've been eager to tell.
With the TDA members that you mentioned, any indications that they were already affiliated with TDA before they came to the United States, or any indications that they were actually recruited here?
I'm not able to answer that question today.
Those that are arrested in Venezuela, are they in the U.S. now? Have they been extradited yet, or are they still in custody in Venezuela?
They're still in custody they're in Colombia.
Colombia,
They're still in custody in Colombia, and the extradition process is ongoing.
There's been a number of times when we've heard from Chief Chamberlain about the call for the public to keep an eye out for these folks. I think there have been images that were shared specific to apartments because of the threat that they were posing. I'm curious if you can answer this, Chief, if those individuals, those pictures that were shared, are they included in this 30? Does the community still need to be concerned that these members that are consistently being recruited or coming to from Venezuela with TDA? What's kind of the status on that globally?
I think this case marks remarkable progress in the fight against Tren de Aragua, but we're not done. And these agencies are not finished working on it. The assistant U.S. attorneys at my office are not finished working on it. And so there is still a threat to Colorado, but we're committed to mitigating that threat up until the point that we eliminate Tren de Aragua completely here in the District of Colorado, but we also have an interest, and we believe that our efforts will have ripple effects throughout the country.
How many members of TDA do you think are in Colorado? And what's your evidence of that or proof of that?
I don't have a good estimate of that today.
From a municipal standpoint, maybe the chief can answer this. Is there any plans on the municipal level to maybe start looking at the property, Ivy Crossing?
Again, that's going to go back to Tyler, but I can.
We could have a sheriff talk.
Yeah.
So, since this investigation, they've started to look at new management styles. We are cooperating. The management from Ivy Crossing is cooperating with the sheriff's office. They've heightened their security measures, and you've seen that in the reduction of calls for service at Ivy Crossing specifically. So the management is very in tune to what the sheriff's office is doing, along with our federal partners, to mitigate this threat. I think one of the big things that we need to make sure people know is that Colorado's not open for business for TDA or any other criminal organization. We want to make sure that if people see something, that they're still saying something. That if you see something that's out of the norm, we would much rather have you call and have it be nothing than not call and have it be something. Because that something could be one of these 69 guns. It could be pounds of narcotics. So please call. Let us know. We'll look into it. But the ownership at Ivy Crossing is working comprehensively with the sheriff's office to address these issues.
And Sheriff, what are your deputies doing there now to stay vigilant in terms of what happens there now?
So we're increasing our visual presence with deputies. As you know, law enforcement across the country has been dealing with recruiting efforts. We've actually been able to increase our hiring, but to make sure that we have more of a visual presence and the utilization of technology. I think that's something that we need to look at that's been paramount in a lot of conversations across Colorado, specifically looking at camera technology. It's important that we have eyes on different locations, and the ownership of Ivy Crossing has added a tremendous amount of video surveillance that we're able to utilize for the investigation of crime in that area.
Has law enforcement identified whether these alleged TDA members were responding to national level leadership in Venezuela?
I want to give, before I get to that, and don't let me move on without seeing if we can provide some answer to that. I do want to give City Attorney for the City of Aurora, Pete Schulte, an opportunity to speak on sort of some aspect of what's going on with the apartment complexes. I also want to express the U.S. Attorney's Office's gratitude to the City of Aurora, and specifically the City Attorney's Office. They made the choice that it was important to them to fight violent crime in the City of Aurora, and they gave us what's called a Special Assistant United States Attorney. It's a fully funded position who is a federal prosecutor, even though she's an employee of the City Attorney's Office. She works full-time in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and she has been committed to this effort as well. So she's one of the prosecutors who's working on this case, and we're very grateful for that resource that the City of Aurora has provided us.
Thank you, sir. Pete Schulte, City Attorney here in Aurora. Well, in Aurora. Edge at Lowry. I want to give you guys an update on that. So as you know, we did close that. One of the first things that I had to do when I took office was deal with the 3 apartment complexes that were being managed by CBZ management, or lack of management. And I want to go back to one of the questions that was asked is, why do we think they came to Aurora? I want to make sure this isn't because Aurora is crime-ridden or it's a horrible place. It's not. It's because these buildings were just not being managed. It allowed the criminal element to come in, take over those buildings, which is probably the same thing that is happening with the Ivy Crossing, which is the sheriff just talked about. So I want to be clear about that. So one of the things that we've done in the city of Aurora, as you all know, we closed down the Edge of Lowry apartments in February. That was a promise that I made in December. We did it, and we are working towards trying to get that completely shut down. I'm going to be clear. The management, the ownership has done nothing since February to try to clean that property up, do anything to try to get anything cleaned up or to get those apartment complexes open. The only thing they have done is they have delayed the criminal nuisance action that my office has filed against the management to declare that a criminal nuisance because of what happened and get that property to change hands. And that's where we are, and they're using their delay tactics that they have done. So again, I want to be clear. Aurora is a great place. It's a great city. Please, please don't think that these 3 apartment complexes are indicative of how great the city of Aurora is. And real quick, with the U.S. Attorney, I want to thank him for that. We are one of the only city in Colorado that actually funds a special assistant U.S. Attorney, which I'm very proud of. Our council is very focused on public safety, as you all know, and I'm very happy that that is up for budget review coming up. And I think council is going to continue that process because I think Chief Chamberlain can say this as well, is having that resource and having that asset in the U.S. Attorney's Office allows cases out of Aurora that would not otherwise be prosecuted to be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office. So thank you.
2 more questions.
I'll go back to this one, and we'll see if we can answer it. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was wondering if law enforcement had identified whether any of these alleged TDA members were responding to national level leadership in Venezuela.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to answer that question.
Last question.
I just wanted to clarify the numbers before. You said there were three people here in TDA. There were 2 that were arrested in Colombia. Are those separate? 3 plus 2 equals 5 TDA members, or are there more?
So no, I think it's more accurate to estimate 3 leaders of TDA have been indicted here. The 2 in Colombia and the 1 at the top of the 28 defendant indictment. In addition to that, I would estimate approximately 5 other members, although sometimes membership is difficult to define. And so we're trying to be somewhat conservative with that estimate. And then beyond that, there's many people who are closely associated with TDA, not just simply criminal opportunists who committed a crime or a couple crimes with TDA, but who spent vast majority of their time with TDA members committing crimes.
I'm sorry, one more question. I think this is important. The 30 people that have been indicted, are they all Venezuelan nationals?
I'm not able to answer. I don't know the answer to that as I stand here today.
Okay, thank you, everyone.